The following podcast is a part of RadioMisfits.com. And now it's time for the Mr. Nailsin Show. Well, apparently no more deal for Hunter Biden. Special counsel is pursuing new indictment against Hunter on felony gun crime. Well, it's about goddamn time.
Well, yeah, sure, but guess what that shows you?
What?
It shows you that this whole crap about you assholes preaching about, the justice system is all rigged and the Democrats favor. Well, that's just a bunch of horse patooey. Because looky here, the president's son, no less, is about to be indicted by Merrick Garland's appointed investigators. So, so much for that theory.
I'll believe it when I see it. Well, it all depends on what exactly are we seeing, Red. Huh?
Yeah, what's that about?
I'll get to it. Anyway, special counsel David Weiss, who is supposed to be outside of the investigation, someone appointed there to be, but he wasn't. So, that should have been your first clue. But anyways, he's closing his plan to indict Hunter Biden on felony gun charges. As part of a sweetheart plea deal announced in June, Weiss agreed to give the first son pretrial diversion for a felony gun charge. Well, goddamn, what changed? Oh, something did.
Yeah, well, he took another look at it.
Uh-huh. The deal meant that if Biden abided by the agreement's terms, he would avoid prosecution for the crime. Oh, my God. The deal was highly unusual for a Justice Department that brags about prosecuting to the fullest extent of the law the crime that Weiss alleges Biden committed. Uh-huh. But the deal collapsed in July when a federal judge questioned the constitutionality of the agreement. Yeah, you see, she wasn't supposed to notice that part, But she did. So, that really threw a wrench in the works there.
This is all just about process, and so, it's all working out. It's sad because Hunter's a troubled man. I mean, his brother died. That's really sad.
Oh, my God. Then to console himself, he did some crack and whatnot and God knows what else, and then fucked his brother's wife.
Oh, my God!
Well, Anyway, the diversion agreement included a broad immunity deal, and in the eyes of the judge, made her the arbiter of Biden's compliance, which she believed raised separation of powers concerns.
Well, what does the judge know?
Oh, my God. After Biden left court, having pled not guilty to tax charges, his attorneys argued the diversion agreement is binding because Biden and prosecutors had signed it.
Well, there you go. Done deal.
That's not how that works, Lefty. And obviously it didn't. But Weiss's office maintains it is not valid because the U.S. probation officer never approved it, and thus the court never received an executed copy. Huh, well, that's hilarious. You know how the left is so enamored with bureaucratic power? It's always nice to watch that same power bite them on the ass.
That's just gross and unnecessary.
I didn't say it was a big ass.
What?
In a 3-page court filing, prosecutor Leo Wise, a veteran U.S. attorney working on Wise's team, told the court that prosecutors intend to seek an indictment against Biden this month.
Oh, my God, isn't that, rather sudden?
Well, it ain't soon enough. The Speedy Trial Act requires that the government obtain the return of an indictment by a grand jury by Friday, September 29th, 2023. At the earliest, Wise told the court, the government intends to seek the return of an indictment in this case before that date. The totality of the crimes for which Biden may be indicted is not crystal clear.
Yeah, that's true. I really don't see what he did wrong.
Oh, my God. Biden allegedly broke at least 2 federal statutes related to firearms. One for allegedly lying on the federal form used to purchase a handgun in 2018, and another for being the user of a controlled substance in possession of a firearm. Oh, yeah, that's pretty rock solid. I mean, the dumbass taped himself doing drugs with whores.
Well, that was all meant to be private, and, there's still I think, some Russian shenanigans going on here.
The only Russian shenanigans was the Russian whores he did.
Well, there you go. That's how they set him up.
Originally, Biden was only accused of breaking the second law there, the user of a controlled substance in possession of a firearm. But, as precedent demonstrates, the DOJ aggressively prosecutes the crime of making a false statement during the purchase of a firearm. Except for certain individuals, connected people like, say, the son of a president.
Oh, stop it.
Avi Lowell, an attorney for Biden, responded to the court filing by arguing the diversion agreement remains valid and prevents any additional charges from being filed. Good luck with that one. Lowell added that Biden has been abiding by the conditions of release under the agreement for the last several weeks, including regular visits by the probation office.
Exactly. You see, good behavior's got to count for something.
Ain't nothing good, behavioral or otherwise, that ever came out of a Biden. Meanwhile, Tucker Carlson apparently interviewed Obama's ex-boyfriend.
Oh, stop it. That's just absolute bullshit. You're just trying to tarnish Obama's name.
Tarnish it? Well, come on, Lefty. I thought there wasn't nothing wrong with that.
Oh, no, you didn't. Oh, no, you didn't. Don't you dare do that.
Well, it's an old claim, and I never really put much credence to it because the source has got quite the criminal record and all that.
Exactly.
But then this letter that Obama wrote to his ex-girlfriend surfaced, and where he claimed that he makes love to men daily in the imagination.
Oh, for God's sakes, this is just a man sharing something with someone very special to him. A woman, no less. And it's just, he's exploring his sexual frontiers.
His exploration involved him jacking off to a mental imagery of nude.
Oh, that's just outrageous.
It's also pretty stupid. I mean, when a woman tells a man that she fantasizes about other women, it's gonna turn him on. But the opposite is not the truth. That's why this woman, whom he tried to marry twice, left him in the dust. Well, I'm sure that's a valid point there, Red, but she also had a problem with Obama's apparent anti-Semitism.
Oh, stop it. Just stop it!
Well, that's the sad part about it all, Lefty. Nobody stopped it. And looking around, it makes a whole lot of sense why we got all the troubles we do. Because for 8 years, we had a man in the White House who dreamed daily about taking it in the butt.
Oh, my God! No!
Well done. Okay, Red. Okay, let's, guess we'll end this before it gets any worse. Probably already too late. But anyway, the only thing of interest there is it lends more credence. What everybody pretty much knew is that Obama was lying through his teeth when he said he was anti-gay marriage. Well, he evolved later on that, sure. And so all, but that's what the political class does to advance. They have to lie to us for our own good because it's their job, when all's said and done, to keep us safe. Oh my God.
Well, they are. I mean, right now, Biden is keeping us safe from Russia in the Ukrainian war.
Holy shit, that's not keeping us safe. In fact, the Russians are threatening to nuke us with their Satan missile. Well, there is that danger of how far provoked could Russia get, and it could be a full-on conflict between the U.S. and Russia and all that sort of thing. It's really on the edge there, but the Satan missile in particular, well, they've had 2 tests. They successfully launched one, and then the second one failed. So, maybe that's the gamble, that their weapons aren't all that. But in the meantime, they still hold the territory they took in the initial invasion. There has been no gains. There's been a lot of of killings and stuff like that, and then little strikes within Russia that supposedly is the Ukrainians themselves doing it. Well, what have you. But even that, it's difficult to get any information because there's hardly any real media reports on the actual ground, the fight. No embedded reporters and all that sort of stuff. So that's kind of curious. But ultimately, they're just going to have to negotiate a deal, and the only losers here will be the poor Ukrainians, a lot of whom have already left. It shouldn't have come to this. This was preventable, but well, thanks, Democrats. Thanks.
Oh, stop it! That's just absurd.
I've already laid it out. It goes back to the 90s when they gave up their nukes and everything.
Yeah. That's a long time ago. It doesn't count.
I beg to differ.
Well, you can beg all you want, but I'm not budging from my position.
Well, you gotta ask yourself, why was Obama grabbing his ankles for Putin when he was president?
Oh, stop it. That's disgusting.
Well, now we know, because he was gay. You're listening to the Mr. Nailsin Show here on RadioMisfits.com.
You in the tire.
What the hell?
Come out now and surrender yourselves, or we will come and get you.
What's going on? Oh no! It is policemen! And they've surrounded the tower!
And now it's time for the adventures of Baron Boy.
Count Rickon! Yes, Baron, it's me. But you were trapped, spiraling down through the time-space vortex after you threw me into it. Yes, that was quite the ordeal. But of course, the way you were able to do it was the connection between my omnibus and your pan van. As a result, I, of course, was eventually able to lock on to your pathetic little van and use it as a lifeline for my escape from the gravity well of the vortex. And, well, of course, it was no easy ordeal, I'll tell you, as you continuously visit other worlds, making you somewhat inaccessible. But once I locked on rather abruptly, I'm afraid, I made good my escape. Wait a minute, then the turbulence within the vortex had brought me here. That was you. Oh, turbulence was there? Well, it was a bit of an unorthodox method of travel, but you left me with very little choice, Baron. All of this world, Count, what have you done? Oh, please, Baron, don't start with that fake, morally superior attitude of yours. As I said, I did what I had to, because of the position you put me in. And now I have the opportunity to right that terrible wrong. I must admit, it was somewhat clever of you to have Biddy take the pan van and hide it for you, but it's only a matter of time before I track it down. And now that you are completely dependent on my advocacy here for the good people of the United States of Atlantis, I suggest you cooperate fully, Baron, so that we could avoid any potential nastiness. Biddy didn't hide the pan van. My other self did. Your other self? What is this, a riddle? Just what in blazes is that supposed to mean, Baron? Need I remind you, ironically so, that time is not on your side? Well, it's obviously my other self from this timeline. This timeline? You... Great heavens, you don't mean... Yes, Count, this is an artificially created timeline. It never should have happened. It certainly didn't occur through the natural course of multiverse shenanigans. It's... because of your interference, my
pan van was knocked out of the vortex and, well, crashed into the Trojan horse that led to the creation of this Trojan Empire and altered the entire course of history for the past 3,000 years of this earth. Well, then, all the more reason for my plan to go forward. What plan? As a result of my arrival here, which obviously was some years before you did, or one of you anyway, my omnibus pretty much didn't make it. It's basically a dead husk of its former self. That's why I need the pan van. I can use it to regenerate the omnibus and undo what you did to me in the first place.
You seek to get back to the hyperverse.
Count, it's out of the question. We have no choice now, Baron. It's the only way we can remedy this situation, which, however you want to slice it, is the fault of us both.
Oh, well, even so, the pan-van's gone. My other self left with it.
Yes, there is that. He must have been aware that I was manipulating the authorities to go pick him up. And ended up with you.
Of course. You're the one who teleported me from the time tower.
Well, of course I did. Who else? And it's the means by which I must access it again, Baron. We're going to need that tower if we're going to get your pan van back.
You seriously expect me to trust you with access to my time tower?
I already have access to it, Baron. I mean, you're here. Besides, by now, the police have it fully secured.
Secured? What?
Well, yes, I provided them with the technological know-how to teleport their men inside.
Oh, no.
In the meantime, once I've...
But Biddy and my friends, they're in there.
Well, no harm will come to them, Baron, so long as they cooperate. The same is true to everything else, so long as you cooperate with me, Baron. Oh no, it does indeed appear that Count Reckon holds all the cards over Baron Void. What will the good Baron do? Perhaps we'll find out in the next exciting episode of Baron Void!
You have been listening to Baron Void, written, produced, and performed by me, Douglas Nailsin. Music comes courtesy of Kevin MacLeod and other public domain sources. You're listening to the Mr. Nailsin Show here on RadioMisfits.com.
I know what you're thinking. Yes, you're thinking, where in the hell can I get some more Mr. Nailsin stuff? As if there wasn't enough already. Oh, boy, there's so many. Well, anyway, the latest is the NailsinRatings.locals.com. Gee, what's that? Well, it's the Mr. Nailsin Post Locals page. Why is it two different titles? Because I screwed up and I can't change the URL, so it's NailsinRatings.locals.com. So anyway, you get a lot of the usual Nailsin stuff there, a lot of links to different videos from my Rumble account and all that good stuff, and Photoshops and what have you, and that's the free stuff. But for a cheap paywall, you get Mr. Nailsin Theater, which is my poor man Mystery Science Theater treatment of old public domain movies, particularly in the sci-fi and horror genre. So you can check those out, and in that version of them, they're cut up into episodes, almost like a TV show. Isn't that great? Yeah, it is. So there's all kinds of cool stuff already there. You can head over there and check it out, plus some cartoons, some stuff I did for Compound Media shows, all that great stuff, all there for you to sign up, join up, and help out your old pal, Mr. Nailsin, while enjoying some great Nailsin stuff for you. So head over to the NailsinRatings.locals.com. That's NailSin ratings.locals.com. LOCALS.com. Yes, it's just that simple. Like the sound of my voice? Yes, you know you do. And you want to hear it in the best way possible. So why not get yourself some headphones and accessories from Tweaked Audio? Key features include 8 colors and styles, mic'd and non-mic'd versions, designed to sound great for music and talk. Noise-reducing design with a lifetime warranty. So head over to tweakedaudio.com and use discount code Mr. Nailsin at checkout for 33% off and free worldwide shipping. That's Mr. Nailsin. MRNAILSIN. It's not case sensitive, but it is all one word. That's tweakedaudio.com. Mysterious flesh-like golden orb found at the bottom of the ocean. Evidence of some undiscovered phenomena? Or is it the beginning of a horror movie? Perhaps, but maybe not. Deep-sea explorers think they've struck gold, or maybe something sinister. The National Oceanic and Atmosphere Administration NOAA team found the mysterious orb about 2 miles deep in the deep, abysmal depths of the Gulf of Alaska. The mysterious orb appeared to be flesh-like, with an even more perplexing hole in it.
Something tried to get in or to get out.
One researcher observed in a live feed of the Seascape Alaska mission.
I just hope when we poke it, something doesn't decide to come out. This is like the beginning of a horror movie.
Another researcher said.
I'm pretty sure this is how the first episode of the X-Files started.
The team exploring an extinct volcano 250 miles off the coast of southern Alaska used a remotely operated vehicle, ROV for short, and tickled the egg, which alerted them to the fact it was delicate to the touch, like skin tissue. The ROV then gently suctioned the strange object up a tube so it could be tested in a lab. Until then, the orb remains a mystery.
Sounds as if they won't learn more until the expedition is over, and then we can take the specimen into a full lab setting,
said NOAA explorer Emily Crum. While still baffled, the scientists have made guesses, with some thinking it may be an egg casing or the remains of a sponge.
When our collective knowledge can't identify it, it's something weird.
One team member said.
I mean, what kind of an animal would make an egg casing like that?
Maybe a golden goose. But seriously, the question is a good one. What kind of creature could lay an egg like that? But maybe it's just one of many different sea life forms out there that we are already aware of, and the egg casing was merely distorted by the ocean depths, leaving it with a strange, peculiar texture. But then again, it could be the egg of an unknown species, and its discovery portends a sinister tomorrow. Perhaps, but maybe not. All right, before I go, I thought I'd make mention of an episode of Tim Pool's Culture War, this show he does on Culture War. And it was supposed to revolve around Gamergate, so it had Brianna Wu and the Hat Man. Well, Hat Man probably didn't even need to show up, probably just could have took a picture of him and have it a freeze shot there. It would have worked. I don't know. But the thing of it is the back and forth between Tim and Brianna Wu ended up being the whole show. And what's interesting about it is that it's a great illustration of most of these personalities on the left, and that they're absolutely ignorant and empty of everything, and even just the basic concept of argument. Tim presents an argument, you counter it. Well, she never really did that. She would go into theatrics and, oh, man, and all that kind of stuff, and was very repetitive in a lot of points that it had already discussed, and kept doing it, which goes to show that she wasn't really listening to him half the time. But Tim was on his game. He had all this stuff that he was talking about, and facts about different cases and whatnot. And she had no real response to it at all. She was just the classic intellectual poser, and tossing around a bunch of lines here and there, and everything, in one ear and out the other, and completely unaware of how much she torched her own position very early on, when she was trying to make the point that Tim contributes to the troubles in the political discourse by pursuing the voter fraud theory on the 2020 election. And so it's like, and claimed the whole time, I've actually watched your show, Tim. I watched quite a bit of it in preparation for today's show, all that stuff. And it was obvious. No, you didn't. Tim Pool, yes, does have a lot of fans on the right, especially these days. And he's made quite a few cases that's in defense of Trump, especially in the current legal troubles that he's facing and all that type of stuff. But when it came to the 2020 election, he has vehemently been opposed to the voter fraud theory. And the voter fraud theories would include like Dominion machines switching votes from Republican to Democrat, the ballot stuffing, which did happen. I mean, it did, but was that determinate? And nothing has really come forward to show that made the absolute difference, even though it was very close. There's really not a whole lot there. There's just evidence of people, showing up with a bag of ballots and shoving it into drop boxes and that sort of thing. But overall, it remains one of the weakest aspects of a complaint about the results of the election, even though Trump, I know it happened, well, you can want to believe it happened if you will, because you can't accept you lost, but that's about it. And so that's been Tim Pool's position. So to say that he's on the bandwagon of voter fraud or what, it's just absolutely not true. Quite the opposite. He gets a lot of crap from people who say, well, he's milquetoast and spineless or something like that, and a lot of people who were interested in his show drop it for that very reason, which again is kind of here's where the right becomes kind of like Brianna Wu, and says they don't want to engage, don't want to discuss it and all that. The one defense to the theory would be that Trump never got his day in court. And Al Gore did, but Trump did not. Every door shut in his face. This is while he's still president. And of course it was Clarence Thomas and maybe Alito too did say, well, yeah, he at least should have gotten, a hearing, but they just didn't do it. And so nothing official other than state by state was ever looked at. Now, Arizona, which is primarily over Kerry Lake's election, with the problems they've had and votes turning up and weren't counted and that sort of thing going on. So it should have been looked at, but it wasn't. Overall, I think some of the stronger cases was the violation of election laws within the battleground states, which one of the judges refused to hear it and saying, hey, look, the remedy would be catastrophic. Of course, the remedy would be that those states' electors would be disqualified. And that means the remaining states would decide the president. Well, guess who would have won that? Biden needed those states. So, but a violation of the law should be a violation of the law, but for some reason it just isn't, So that was a stronger case. I thought it's just kind of just left there and no one really addresses it anymore. But, And then the rest of it is when you call it a rigged election, well, you can, because there was a lot of shenanigans going on in the coverage and just blatant lies tossed about, and most notably the Hunter Biden laptop story, which was 100% absolutely true. And then you had the mass censorship of the New York Post. That's an aspect of cheating there, where everybody's in collusion with the Democratic Party on that one. And, a journalistic entity should have been lock stop behind New York Post on that, but they didn't. Only to, hey, let's wait a year later and go, yeah, you know what, that was true, and all of that. So right off the bat, Brianna Wu accusing Tim Pool of being on the fraud side, and was just completely exposed Brianna's ignorance of Tim Pool. So after that, it's like, well, there was really nothing more. But of course, it continued on. And then examples of ignorance overall. Doesn't know anything about Joe Biden's corruption and whatnot. And most notably, this business of the Ukraine deal that he'd had, where he's bragging about extorting the Ukraine to protect his son's position at Burisma. It's just blatantly right there. And of course, Brianna knew nothing of a lot of the details. They played the tape. She is, he was trying to stop corruption. And I said, yeah, whatever became of that? Huh. Yeah, nothing. And it's just a staggering coincidence that his son sits on the board. I mean, it's really stretches the credulity. And the idea of extorting the government of Ukraine was the grounds of impeachment for Donald Trump. So they impeached Donald Trump for what Joe Biden actually did. And it's right there, but the left's position on that is la, 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 la. So you don't have to hear it. And that's it. Yeah. So, for that purpose, just an interesting take on this, of a display of what the left's position, and I've never seen it quite this stark before until the current era of where we are, where there is literally nothing. Because even I thought there would be something at one point, and yet it's nothing. Now, this is just one person, of course, and it kind of came out of the Gamergate business and all that. But boy, it really holds up to the standard of just blind ignorance fueled only by spite. Now, Brianna came on the air and said, "Oh yeah, I think we need a more civil discourse and all that sort of stuff," as if she was offering an olive branch and all that. I think that's more inclined of the reality that the woke war, for the most part, has ended. In hindsight, years from now, we'll be able to look at it and see if that's really true. I think there are some people who are dug in and determined to maintain it, but at the same time, for internet personalities, the gravy train is over. They lost Twitter, and that was a big loss. And so now I got to figure out, hey, how can I maintain some kind of living as an internet personality? I'm going to have to reach to the other side, or at least seem to. And so I based on the performance here, which is all it was, wouldn't really buy that. I'm extremely dubious on the olive branch effort here. And especially since lacking any ability to engage and to at least have any curiosity on just raw facts here. Unless you've got something that can counter it, well, Brianna didn't. So anyway, it was interesting, and for those reasons. And so check it out if you so desire. Maybe they'll do clips of it because it's over 3 hours long, and whew, it's tough to get through, but yeah, it was interesting. All right, so thanks for listening, and we'll do it again next week on the Mr. Nailsin Show.
The views and opinions expressed during the Mr. Nailsin Show do not necessarily reflect those held by RadioMisfits.com. So, any complaints and or comments should be sent to @Mr. Nailsin on Twitter, where they will be promptly ignored and or blocked.
Oh, stop it. That's just absolute bullshit. You're just trying to tarnish Obama's name.
Tarnish it? Well, come on, Lefty. I thought there wasn't nothing wrong with that.
Oh, no, you didn't. Oh, no, you didn't. Don't you dare do that.